If you're still listening to this podcast after 95 episodes, then you, my friend, are not average. See, most people, they dabble, but you build. Most people, they consume content, but you stack identity. And most people are chasing hacks, but you are earning habits, one by one, brick by brick. And now, at the end of this week, on Friday, we hit episode 100, not as some kind of a finish line, but as a flare, a mark that says you've been training and now it's about to pay off. I'm Chris Hunsicker, and this is the Dealership War Room. Leadership fire, built daily, fueled intentionally, and delivered relentlessly. So let's dive into today's episode. But before we dive in, a quick update. This podcast started out originally as a private inner circle kind of training, but due to tech issues with our CRM, we had to push it out to YouTube. Now, with episode 96 and beyond, we're returning it back to its original mission: private, intentional, and invitation only. If you're listening, you're already in. And if you know someone who should be, then send them the link and we're going to let them in. Also, huge milestone. Last week, we crossed 400 subscribers, and a huge shout out to Frankie Morrow and David Long for having the most number of new referrals into the podcast over the last 2 weeks. You guys are all the reason that this podcast is growing. And I haven't forgotten about the Box of Awesome. And as soon as we hit 500, I will take all those names, we'll draw one out, and I will ship out the Box of Awesome. So now let's dive in. This is not a podcast. This is a pre-game ritual for elite dealership leaders. You're not here because you need more content. You're here because you need more clarity before the floor hits each and every day. Let's make this clear. Episode 96 starts our milestone run. All this week, episodes 96 to 100 are going to be what I call the FIRESTARTER series. Not because we're slowing down, but because we're going to light the next fuse. Because here's what it comes down to. You don't need more content. You don't need another training module. You don't need another morning meeting, and you definitely don't need another inspirational quote. What you need is to recommit. And recommitment is not emotion, it's execution. This is episode 96. It's Monday. And by the time we get to Friday, we're going to be at episode 100. But today, this is the pivot point. And rather than go over something new, we're going to return to things that you already knew, but may have let slip. Like remembering that the war is not with the market, that daily war. You're not fighting the market, it's with mediocrity. No 0 days, that's not a productivity hack, it's a survival code. And leadership thermostat, that's not a vibe, that's your identity. And your wake, your leadership wake, that's not a punchline, that's literally your posture. So starting today, let's recommit. And to help you lock that in, here's a tool, the Thermostat Reset. Use these 3 questions to check in every morning before you leave. Question 1, where's my focus? Am I reacting to fires or driving results? Question 2, who am I becoming? Am I showing up from identity or insecurity? Question 3, what does my wake look like? If I disappeared today, what would people feel in my absence? That's the reset. It takes 30 seconds, but it puts you back in the driver's seat. And if you do it every day, it's way more than a reset. It becomes your rhythm. This week, we're going to celebrate what it means to be an elite, relentless, velocity-driven leader. We're going to dive into the mindsets, mantras, and habits of those kind of leaders. And I'm going to cast a vision for you of what the next 100 episodes are going to look like. I've literally spent the last 3 weeks crafting and writing out and designing what those next 100 episodes are going to be. And I am so psyched to share them with you. Because from here on out, we're not just leading teams, we're building tribes, we're creating culture, and we're going to ignite something that I call executional identity. So here's the truth most managers never hear. If you've made it this far, you are not most managers. You're not stuck in the middle, wandering in the fog, burned out in your office. You're moving, you're growing, and you're leading yourself first. And please, listen, there were days I recorded this podcast tired, discouraged, and unsure if it even mattered. But I hit record, and you showed up too, and that means something. Let's call today what it is. 1 brick, 1 flame, no 0 days. Brick is your habit. Flame is your why. No 0 days is your win. This is usually where I talk about the War Room Challenge. I am a firm believer that language matters. Every one of you knows you change 1 sentence, 1 word, and you go from a resistant customer to a closed sale. Same thing. I want to make a distinction in our language. This isn't about me challenging you like somehow you need someone to push you further. This is about building an execution identity, someone who is absolutely skilled at executing. I get asked all the time, Chris, what do you do really as an executive coach? And I always tell people, my job is to help people turn insight into action and data into dollars. You know what does that? Execution. So I want to share with you what I'm going to call the execution bridge. And instead of a challenge at the end of these videos, I'm going to talk to you about what's the execution bridge. What is the action that we need to take today to cross that bridge from knowledge to execution? You don't drift into greatness, you decide into it. So here's your execution bridge for today. Recommit to the daily war, to no 0 days, to the thermostat life, and to owning your leadership wake. Take that 30 seconds and do the thermostat reset. Take a sheet of paper, write out your answers. Better yet, take a voice memo and record your answer on them and text them to someone you know and say, hey, I'm recommitting, hold me accountable. Because the decision to recommit, that is the first act of leadership. How do you lead? By continually and repeatedly recommitting to those behaviors, those habits, that identity that you know represent who you are at your best. You see, fundamentally, you and nobody else are broken. You don't need to be fixed. What you need to do is go back and reclaim who you are at your best. When you are at your best, there is an identity, there is a mindset, and there are some habits. And the more you lean into that, the more you will be able to live in integrity as your best self. And that is the execution bridge for today, to recommit to who you are at your best and then work diligently to show up that way every day. Please stay with me all week. This is going to be one of the best weeks in the Leadership War Room. So go out, light a leadership fire, and I will see you tomorrow in the Dealership War Room.